want to change it. We're good to go. It's happening.
I know.
We're here. Season 3 is here. Oh my God. And I was just telling my first guest, Claire, of all my new changes. I've got cue cards with all my notes. I'm so professional. And I've also now got a product spotlight. So every episode I'm going to have, at the end, where we always hype up a small business, charity, or something that deserves a spotlight. At the beginning, I'm going to do a product spotlight. So if you have a product that you want to have shine your spotlight on my podcast, please get in touch. The first one is Ochil Fudge. I feel like I should open them and we still have a bit.
If we have a bit, that will not last the whole time.
It probably
I'll just
won't
be
last.
sitting going.
But 10 out of 10. Ochil Fudge. Got tablet and fudge and all sorts, so go and follow them. Yeah. And it's first episode. Can't believe it.
No. Right.
Had a few months off. And you know, I was telling somebody today, actually, like, I nearly KB'd the podcast.
No.
It was close. So, like, at the end of the year, I was just like, this is going to be handy leading into our conversation.
I know.
Wow.
Too much.
Too much. Burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed out. I was like, I can't do it. Too many plates. And then I got nominated for an award. And I was like,
did you?
Oh, I can't go in now.
I know. Like, yeah, won an award back.
Now we're back. Season 3, but we've got more structure. We're in a new place. We're in a new location, and this is the first time I've seen it as well, and it's gorgeous. So well done, Curtis. We're loving it. But anyway, enough about me. So episode 1 of season 3, we have Claire.
Hello.
Claire, and let me just get this right. We have Clare. Oh, better get my cue cards in an order. Good start. Cue cards are already fucking me up. Clare Findlay therapy. Mm-hmm. So in-person clinic and online psychotherapist.
Yep. It's a big scary word, I feel.
Big scary word. Like, kind of like, what is a psychotherapist? Let's start there.
So a psychotherapist is kind of like someone who I kind of quite hard because I kind of don't like even the word. I help someone work out what's going on in their head because I don't really.
Yeah.
But basically you can go to like a counsellor for, you know, like coping strategies with things. You might have an issue or like a wee thing to kind of work through. And counsellors are, you know, they're great. They've got a really, really good role. And psychotherapy is just a wee bit different. It's a kind of slightly different approach where there might be something that someone is experiencing or going through, which might be linked to something else. And together I kind of work with someone to kind of help them work out what that something is. And it can be anything. It can be like, you know, I often think that people come to therapy in general or counselling when they kind of enter into almost like a little liminal space. And if someone listening doesn't know what a liminal space is, I didn't either. But it comes from the kind of Latin word of threshold. So it's like transitioning from one place to another place. And the wee bit in between is like you're becoming something else, but everything seems quite uncertain. So sometimes when people come to therapy, they've either been through a period of transition, perhaps illness or family stuff, or becoming a mother, or their kids leaving, or loads and loads and loads of different reasons. Sometimes they come to therapy as well because they're kind of experiencing lots of physical things, like which they would perhaps have been to their doctor with, and they've said, oh, you've got anxiety or depression or whatever that is. And really, once they have that kind of clinical diagnosis, they're given like medication and kind of sent on their way. And it's not really, I know that NHS services are stretched, but it's not really a kind of solution for them because they've been given this label and then they're kind of sent off into the world and they kind of need to work out for themselves, which they kind of do in therapy, but they don't do it alone. So that's the kind of thing. But I think sometimes even the term psychotherapist, the psycho bit, and I don't know if this is just the West of Scotland thing. We're like that, oh, do I need to be a psycho to come to you? But it's more just dealing with yourself as, like, not just, well, I approach it as you're kind of looking at what's going on in your mind, in your body, in your environment, perhaps a wee bit about past or future or whatever, the way you think, the way people interact with you. It's not just your brain and how your brain functions. And I think more recently, we've kind of moved away from the really kind of medicalised model of someone has like BPD, borderline personality disorder, or depression, clinical depression, or anxiety, or even moving into like, you know, the kind of recent kind of awareness around neurodivergence and autism and ADHD and things. It's grand that we have all these kind of diagnoses and they kind of give a kind of working understanding of what kind of symptoms someone's experiencing, but they're not the sum total of a person. And when people come to therapy, I kind of like to start with, right, that might have happened, but who are you in this and where do we kind of, how do we find you? Because sometimes you feel a bit lost.
Do you think there's like two kinds of people though, that like some people kind of want the, oh, I've got the label.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other kind of people that are like, no, I don't want, yeah, okay, I might have anxiety, I might have depression, but I don't really want the drugs. I want to like work through it. And obviously, I don't know like science and like I'm not a doctor, but like the brain chemistry and like this, it's like a missed thing in the brain or something like that. But like, do you find that some people are just like, no, I don't want to be labelled and have the medicine, I want to get like the help in a different way?
Yeah, and I think there's always like a kind of combination of both. You know, some people, there's also a lot of evidence that says that this is categorically some sort of chemical imbalance in your brain, and there are people who are like really, as with everything in medicine, there's like not pros and cons, but there's always arguments for and against, or there's always questioning around it. And that's the brilliant thing about science, is the fact that it's always changing, it's always evolving, and people should always be in discussion of what actually works for one person. So someone might try like medication and go, that's really not for me. It took away a certain problem but left me with something else, and I'd like to find another route. And they might not know where to start, and they just try kind of different things until they find that. And then there's other people who a diagnosis or a label really kind of validates what they've been experiencing the whole time, because normally by the time someone gets to a diagnosis, they're like, I've been trying to tell someone there's something up and this isn't normal for me. And they're really at their end, they're just like, I just need help.
Yeah.
And when they get that is a relief. But sometimes as well, it can feel like a bit of a prison, because it's like, I've been given this thing of I'm depressed or whatever that is, I have anxiety. What do I do now? Like, does that just mean I'll just never be happy again, or I'll never experience fleeting moments of joy, or how do I go forward? And obviously, I think especially in recent years, there's been a kind of shift from dealing with solely medicalised diagnosis, and then there's like holistic stuff, which is brilliant as well. And I like to think of myself as kind of straddling two lands, where, you know, like encouraging people to take charge of their own life and maybe try like other things, alternative things, but not be beholden to all medicine is bad. And, you know, there's loads of stuff out there. Goodness, you could go on forever.
There's loads of options.
You know, there's so many. But
I feel like as well, it used to be you go to the doctor, they tell you this, and then you get a pill and that's you. Whereas now there's all sorts of alternative medicines like CBT and this, that, and the next thing. And like counselling plays a massive part, and obviously what you're talking about as well, that there is a lot of options available for people.
Well, there's loads and loads. And I think you'll always meet someone who's like, this is the thing you need to try, and then it's going to work. And as soon as you've like, even, I don't know, even like ways of regulating or organising or like solution-based therapies are really, really enticing and intoxicating if you're in a place of, oh my goodness, I do not know how to get myself out of this. They're great. My kind of personal question around them is, I am not concerned, but I kind of raise little questions around, if they don't work for one person, how does that person internalise that? Do they just think, this thing hasn't worked, I haven't tried hard enough, I'm a bad person, this thing that hasn't worked means that the problem that I have can't be fixed, I must be the only person that feels like this? And actually, not everyone feels like that. It sounds like that's really flippant, but people feel the intensity of these feelings across the board in different ways, and everyone feels like they're the only person who's experienced this. And actually, there are loads of studies on things that commonalities, everyone will experience it different because they're different people.
Yeah.
But it's just about finding the thing that works for you. And I think that's why I kind of merge like kind of evidence-based ways of, I don't know, conducting therapy with other things that, you know, using resources or using like nervous system regulation techniques to try and find somewhere in the person's body that feels peaceful. That's kind of like a jumping off point.
Yeah.
And peace feels so far away when you're in a period of anguish. You're just
it's
like,
something to aim towards, and hopefully you get them there.
Little just be snippets. Me, it's like down regulating a feeling. So if you've ever had like a feeling where, I don't know, if you think about like anxiety or that feeling of burnout, what does that feel like?
Yeah.
It's like you'll either kind of go between
Hysterically crying, that's me.
Hysterically crying,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll have like a physical, again, not everyone experiences this differently, but you might have, you know, like a feeling of like energy through your body, like a kind of like prickly, scratchy electricity. Something feels off, something feels wrong, like almost walking about with like one sock halfway down your shoe, like just feels a bit that uncomfy feeling. There might feel like a bit of pressure. You might have a physical sensation in your chest. You might feel something stuck in your throat. You might feel like you actually want to claw your skin off. And that feeling can build and build and build and build until something happens. So either, I don't know, you drop a cup and you just are like, wah, and it goes. There's a big expulsion of something. Might be tears, might be shouting, might be thumping hell out a washing pile or something. And then that stops. Whenever that stops, and you're knackered, you're like, oh. And you can't think of words. You just want to lie and stare at the wall or stare at a really rubbish TV programme. That is your body going into the fight or flight response, getting to the point of crashing through it where you've used up almost all of your energy, and then dropping into a nervous system response known as the dorsal vagal, which is like a nervous system state. So we have 3 different states. We have the ventral vagal state, which is like a regular kind of nervous system state, like me and you chatting just now. If I was to like evaluate what was going on in my body just now, like there's a part of me that's kind of, right, sorry, I'll rewind. So your nervous system is like your internal kind of burglar alarm. I can never say that well.
I know, we're Scottish, it's hard.
Alarm. So, and it kind of monitors how safe you are. So as you're kind of going about your life, something is kind of like always kind of monitoring where you are, how close away that car is coming up the road, you know, am I too hot, am I too cold? Is there any danger? Yes or no? And that's kind of unconscious. So when you're just in a regular kind of calm state, your nervous system is in the ventral, which is kind of like the kind of middle place. And that is a place of like connection to other people. Like you can chat away to them easily. You're not like paralysed thinking of words like that you want to say. Everything, you know, things can happen, but they don't like throw you off for the rest of the day. So you might like lose your keys for a second, go, oh, where are they? Oh, I found them. All right, okay, that's fine. Go on about your day. And that is where, that's like how like humans kind of, for the majority of time, aim to exist. It has physiological effects in your body, like good digestion, other stuff like that, but I won't go off on a tangent too much.
We're here all day.
I know. And then there's like the kind of like fight or flight response, which is where you're kind of like activated. You might feel a bit jittery or, oh, there's like pressure. And that is like something primal in you that is preparing to run away. So that can mean because they're actually as a predator, or it can also mean that you have a deadline and you've got 2 minutes to get down the road. And if that goes on for too long, then your body kind of reacts in a really protective way and kind of goes, right, she's had enough, and they pull the plug and go, vroom, and that's you, where you're just like, oh, can't think of anything. And that's when you find yourself walking about in Tesco's with no idea what you came in for, and you can't think of anything that you'd want to eat because you're just like, oh, I don't know where to park my car. Like, so it could go from that to literally not being able to find words or just sitting vegged out.
So how do you maintain the basic level where you do drop your keys and you go, oh well, get on with your day? How is there techniques to maintain that so that you don't end up in fight or flight, or is it just...
Well, this is the thing, because although there is these 3 different states, they all kind of have a purpose. If someone came, like, I don't know, if someone came like crashing through the door right now and was like that, everyone needs to get out because, like, I don't know, the fire alarms went off and you haven't heard it, we would not be like that. La, 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 la. Like, you would be like, quick, grab a bag, something's on fire, let's go. So I think it kind of it's bringing yourself into awareness of, I'm at this place and this is what I'm feeling, and that's okay. Because sometimes anxiety is an energy. It's like it's like a propellant in a way. So anxiety is pretty much how I've got through every single essay that I've ever had to write in my life, because that energy of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, has propelled me to actually sit down and write the thing. But also it can be so much that it means you don't do anything, you're paralysed. And that's what we're kind of wanting to avoid when you get to that bit, the paralysis bit. But it can be quite good because it can, fuel some wee things. So what we're looking for is not really to stay in the ventral place, because then you're a robot and you're just like, hey, everything's fine.
Everything's great, and you're fake.
And the world is not like that. Do you know what I mean? Oh, it's fine, don't worry about it.
But like when you're in the fight or flight mode, when you're like jittery, stressed out, hysterically crying, like is there any ways to bring yourself back?
Oh, yeah. So there's loads. So, and again, it's all specific to a person, but that's what we try and kind of find out. So one is the use of realising that this is like a temporary state and that it'll change. And knowing that it's not any sort of, like, feeling that it's not really your fault that you're like this. Because automatically when you go into that place, you're like, oh, I'm nuts. Why am I stressed? No one else is stressed out. I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
And then there's several things you can do. One thing is like really kind of feeling into your body, which sounds like a bit crackers. I used to be a yoga teacher, so that's kind of where that comes from. But even like feeling like one hand on another hand and see, can I feel that hand? Or breathing is another one. There's loads of great breathing strategies. Sometimes if you're really kind of activated, kind of clinical word, but if you're really highly anxious, actually try to expel some of that energy. So a good scream in the car, I always recommend.
Imagine sitting in an Aldi car park and you see somebody just screaming, you'd be like, whoa.
I did that like not that long ago. It was after Christmas, and I thought, actually, I can't face going into Aldi, and I came out and I was just driving along in my car and I was just like, I don't want to do this. And it was like a toddler having a tantrum, when you see them and they're pure going for it. And when I was younger, everyone would do that. And, oh, that's terrible. But see, now I'm like, good for you, get that out. Because you don't want to hold on to that stuff, because that's what kind of makes you feel rubbish. Yeah. You're holding on to an emotion that does not really belong to you. It's moving through you. You want it through and away with the least amount of impact and shame, like, as possible. Like, it does not mean that you are not coping. In a way, you're kind of coping, but when it's actually happening, it's really hard to feel that. You can know it cognitively, but feeling it is practice. It's like awareness, noticing, pausing, saying, right, I have a few wee things I could try here. Has that worked even a little bit? Does that feel a little bit less? You're not looking for it to go away. It's not a magic wand, but it's just a slight shift. And these wee micro rests and micro pauses have got a huge effect on your actual physiological state, which over time builds up, like putting like, I don't know, a tenner on your bank account every week or every whatever. Eventually you look and you go, God, there's loads in that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite magic, but it's not like a linear, if you do this, then that. if you get up at 5 and do kind of cold water porridge, you'll feel brilliant all day and you won't feel stressed because we're human.
I'll be freezing cold, like, no thanks. I'll be freezing, that's fine.
I know. I'm like, I'll stay in my bed another
like,
10 minutes.
It's warmer. I'm cool. Like,
I'm prioritising rest as well and going, right, actually, seeing a Sunday, I need to not do a thing.
I know. Listen, I did a New Year's resolution. It's not going great.
What is it?
More rest, more me time. To be fair, I went for a massage today, so that's
brilliant.
That's the first of the year. I mean, we're in February, but I'm going to keep it up because you do need that. Because, like we sort of said at the start, like I had that proper burnout at the end of the year, and that's one of the questions I wanted to talk to you about was like, what kind of like challenges do you kind of see for general people as well, but like for business owners? Because just now there's so many self-employed people everywhere. I deal with so many of them, and then I go to Poi Society. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram. It's like a networking for women up at the Blytheswood. Really good. And the last meeting of the year at Christmas time was all about burnout, and it was like the end of the year and like how you, like how it's not always like how to deal with it basically when that happens. Yeah. And everybody was like so open, and I was pure what? Like everybody was just speaking like on a round table just about how they all felt, and it was really refreshing because you think when you're on your own, just solely going through life, like as a self-employed gal, like it's just you. That's kind of what you said there. When people think it's just them, it's not other people. So do you feel like you see that regularly with anybody that you work with? Yeah, and especially with self-employed people as well. Everyone kind of has a different almost flavour of it, but with self-employed people, I think it's really difficult as well because especially with especially media, because you're kind of promoting like in a genuine way, but you can't turn around and go, by the way, today was absolutely rotten and I really wanted to go to my bed at 10:30 this morning. I could have crawled back in. So you can't do that. Yeah. And it's this, there's also that thing of I don't want to dump my stuff on someone else because they might be having a good day and then I've just said, oh, I'm shattered, help me. Yeah. But that end of year is a big pressure for self-employed folks because they're just clawing themselves to the end. The thing with being self-employed as well is there's no kind of safety net of if I don't take this job or if I don't try and make this work, it means I don't actually have income. And with the cost of everything going up, it's really hard to find that kind of inflation or your services have probably went up and trying to pass that on to a customer is really hard. So everything's kind of squeezed, which means your day gets longer, which means you might find yourself, I've even found it the past couple of weeks, I'm like answering emails and stuff and thinking, well, I'll just do another wee bit in my website just to see if I can tweak this wee SEO thing that I don't know anything about, but I'm trying. Or I'm watching videos and then I'm like, God, it's 11:30, I need to go to my bed. So it's hard because when you're passionate about something, parts of it probably won't feel like work. You're like, oh, this is great. Oh, and potential. And then something will just take the wind out your sails. And you're just like, oh, I can't move. I can't get out my car. I'm stuck outside my house and I can't get out my car. It's time to scream it all day. I know. But yeah, I think the main thing that I would really kind of focus on, because self-care is brilliant in terms of like really making time for yourself for like body treatments and, you know, massages and Reiki. And I have loads of friends who do that. So I'm always like, book in with someone, get someone's hands on you, because I think physical contact is brilliant for people. But the other thing I would probably say would be to kind of have like almost like invisible boundaries around like disconnecting from stuff, having as many kind of auto reply things with certain hours and really try and keep to hours. And I know it's awful. And also when there's time and if something doesn't really set you alight, to not do it, which is awful because there's so many things in our life that are expected, even like with family stuff and friend things. And I've seen myself, you know, go to or getting ready for things and just being like, I just don't have it in the tank to do it. I don't want to go. And actually, or even letting things go. Like I used to tie myself and notice about things like thank you cards when my kids would like get presents or birthday parties. I would be like, oh, I need to do this thing. And I've kind of lowered my standards. So now I've just like sent a text to someone going, listen, I was going to send a card, but we all know who I am. So it's not going to happen. So thank you very much.
That's it.
That's a lot to be sending out thank you cards for all your kids and all their birthdays and
But
that.
there's some mad stuff that you agree to and you didn't realise that you had. Like there's some mad things that you just think, well, that's what's done. I can't not do that.
I know, and you feel like you're going to let people down. Like I feel like I have that internal battle a lot, like finding the balance of working with my partner, with my family, and then with my friends. Like, and then you can't find the time for everyone, and then you feel guilty because you've not seen. Then it's like 6 months later, and you've not seen this certain friend or this certain friend, and I'm like, but when am I supposed to? Like,
I know.
and then you don't find that time for rest or the self-care time. And I think like it was just end of the year, and for me, which I wonder if it's for other self-employed people. So if they're listening and this feels like them, let me know. When you're 100 miles an hour and you're going, I don't get ill that often until I stop.
Yes, and that's a body thing.
But then at Christmas time, I took a break. I took 2 weeks off. I took a break. I was still like doing a wee bit, but not like working properly. And I was like, whoa. And I was hysterical. And I felt guilty because I wasn't working. But I mean, I wasn't letting anyone down. But it's the weirdest thing. Like you just can't change that feeling.
No, because it's always that thing of if I just do this, I'll just do this. And actually see that discomfort of I'm going to put all of this down is horrendous. It's torturous. I'd actually sometimes rather can I just go back to my workplace and work for a fortnight, because holding this uncomfortable feeling is terrible. But even starting in little bits, sometimes you can kind of fake the little bits though. Like, you know, if you've got a wee afternoon off and then you're like, wee things. Or you're not fully switched off. But it's really like trying to lean into, I am going to slump here. I'm going to sit and rot on my couch. I'm going to watch The Real Housewives of whatever and watch them all fighting and not even pay attention because you're just so zoned out. It's like getting really comfy with the luxury of doing absolutely nothing in your house or whatever it is that really, because there's certain folk that can't sit still. Yeah. And sometimes I'm like that, but other times I'm just crashed out. But whatever it is, like immerse yourself in it. Like whether it's, I don't know, what are your hobbies? What do you like doing? What things would you like to do? Get your nails done.
I'm religious. Like that's my thing.
Brilliant.
2 weeks religious. Like that type of thing, like getting things done makes me feel good. I know that's pure superficial as fuck. But
no, it's not.
Like, I mean, I take going to the gym, but I don't like going to the gym. I go there so I'm not fat. Like, I don't pure love it.
I know. That's the thing. Like, I kind of like the feeling of lifting weights once I've lifted them. It's getting to the gym. I remember I asked a client about what they were doing, like, you know, for what they did for, God, it was ages ago now, what they do for fun. And they had said running. And I was like, is that fun? And they were like, no.
Fun? Like, why are you lying? It's not fun.
Like, no. There's a few folk I know who are actual runners. And I'm just like, I would only run if someone was chasing me. And even at that, they'd get me as soon as I get a stitch. That would be it. I'd be like that. Right. I haven't had enough.
As soon as I get a stitch,
I'd be like, it's fine.
It's over.
Just catch me.
It's over. I've had enough.
Totally. But yeah, and it doesn't even have to be like, so I think, again, because of the society we live in, I mean, I love getting my nails done because I feel like a proper grown up. I'm like, who's she? She's had her nails done.
I know.
She looks like she has her stuff together.
I know.
But I think sometimes, you know, there might be, like, we're kind of fed this idea of maybe you should take up, I don't know, golf, whatever it is. Don't know anyone who's taken up golf. Oh no, I do. I know one. Anyway, but we have to like leave the house to do something. Sometimes it might just be pottering about your house and playing albums you used to listen to, or lying with your legs up in the wall and like scrolling in your phone at cats falling off roofs or something. It's just as simple as that. Something that can just make that wee feeling, and you're looking for that wee feeling that goes, like a wee. What I always try and think of is, see if you think of yourself when you were little, what age, say maybe about 5 or 6, quite wee, before you hit that kind of awkward age, like 10, what lit you up? What made you feel great? What did you do? Like, what did you...
I don't remember being 5.
You remember like being I don't know, like what's a memory when you were wee, when you feel kind of...
Playing board games, doing jigsaws.
There you go.
And to be fair, last year me and James went on a off-grid holiday. Hilarious. Anybody that knows me knows all about that. But I took a jigsaw with me, and I was like, and we had a bit of Wi-Fi, but like we weren't really on our phones. And I was doing a jigsaw with a glass of wine, having like, this is great. I had a great time.
That's the best ever.
Like, so chill. But I think when I say get my nails done, get my brows, my lashes done, for me as well, it's because I can't use my hands or I'm blind and I'm not on my phone and I'm not answering emails, replying to people, like doing any work. And that's why I like it, because I don't have a choice. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of just...
So it's like taking out your hands.
Yeah.
And you feel glam. So that's really good.
It's a double whammy.
Been given some time and also you look great after it.
Exactly.
But there's something perhaps even about doing a jigsaw, like the feeling around doing a jigsaw. So like you have something where you're kind of looking at something, so you're not like totally stationary. It's like you have a wee job to do, but it's not hugely taxing and it's not life or death. Yeah. You're just like, I don't know, picking up a wee piece, having a look about and putting it down. Yeah. Like for me, I'm a pure garden geek. Like I'm a total, never used to be, but it just kind of crept over me. And
I love your garden.
Honestly.
Do you like have any like, is it just plants or do you have like vegetables and all that?
I did have vegetables. I did have an allotment for a while.
Did you?
I did.
Whereabouts?
Yeah, at the coast where I live.
Nice.
But allotments are kind of like wee communities, which some of them are great.
They're dramatic.
But there is a fair bit of drama, so I was just like, time for me to leave. So I went and set up a wee garden in the house, and in my garden. Set up a garden in my garden. And just kind of potted about there. So I had a greenhouse and potatoes in buckets. And it's a kind of new build house that I live in, so the ground's rubbish. So I just kind of put them all. My greenhouse has just been flattened for the second time.
Because of the storm?
Point. Oh, it's terrible.
Was it because of the storm?
Oh, it was really bad.
Oh, no.
Because I'm on the coast as well. It was just like a big wind tunnel. But
that's
it was
devastating.
fine. I was just like, saw the first panel go and I was like,
oh, no.
Fine. But my point is, I just like, so now I just kind of do flowers, and there's loads of people that, you know, have got really great kind of, there's some beautiful, beautiful gardens. And I just kind of chuck things in because I didn't really know what I was doing, and I still really don't. But for me, it's like the closest thing to magic, because you put something in the ground and then nothing happens for ages, and then you look one day and there's a wee whoop, and then the next thing there's a big flower.
I know, it's mad.
It's mad. So, but it's that similar feeling of I'm not totally like stuck at a desk or whatever doing something, or I'm not immobilised, like sitting in a chair trying to relax. I'm kind of doing something. I'm kind of moving my body. I'm outside. I'm not really thinking of anything, but I'm just doing a wee job. So it's looking for like a wee thing that gives you that feeling of, I'm not really thinking of anything.
Yeah, it's just relaxing.
Yeah, just relaxing.
I love that.
So I always try and say to folk, like, what made you happy? Like, what, when you were wee before, I don't know, you got to being a teenager and someone said that you can't swing in a swing at 14.
I know.
Or go down the chute.
Yeah, I can.
Or hang upside down like a bat. What made you happy? And sometimes folk go, oh, I remember this. But as we get older, we kind of forget. We forget how to have fun and
we
play.
do. We don't laugh enough. And because last year I had Sharon, who had a laughing yoga.
Oh, cool.
Really good. Like, laughing yoga is weird. Have you done it?
No, I've never done
it. But it's weird, but see, when you go, you get it. You get it.
How does that work?
So it's weird, right?
Because I used to be a yoga teacher, I'm like that.
So it's not actually, it's called laughing yoga, but it's not actual yoga.
Yeah,
it's
but
just the
it's
name
like
of
a
it.
formula.
She was like, I don't know what, I don't feel like I should call it that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's what it's called.
That's what it's called. That's its name.
So like, they start with a lash out. Like, I'm already laughing soon. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. And then everybody has to do it, right? So you're going, well, this is weird. Like, there's like 10 people in the room, like, clapping their hands, going, ho, ha, 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 right? So then you start absolutely gutting yourself because you're like, this is weird. And then before you know it, you're absolutely howling.
Oh, that's
and you do all sorts of, like, you do row your boat and all that on the floor. You do kid on, you're in a lift, and then you open the lift, and then you gut yourself. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
That's actually, I can pure feel myself like welling up laughing, like, because it's so funny.
It's so funny. So like, afterwards, your face is killing you, your stomach's killing you, and it's just such a...
It's such a buzz though. See that feeling after you've had a good laugh? Yeah. It's almost like having a good sleep or having a good cry. It's that kind of like, you feel a bit like relaxed and
I know.
sleepy.
You do. And she was saying in the podcast, I can't remember the stats, but it was like kids laugh 300 times a day or something like that. And adults laugh like 10 times a day. But like, why do we not laugh anymore? Because it's so good for you. And like, again, don't know the science, like endorphins and stuff like that. Yeah. It's so good for you. But we don't. And we should be.
Oh, we definitely should. Definitely. And like even that silliness thing, I think that's something that I've always really struggled with that. Well, since being a teenager, especially like West of Scotland culture of being silly. Like at times we're quite kind of like, what's that? Like letting yourself go and being kind of putting yourself out there and just being a bit daft. It's quite hard because you're always kind of, I don't know, there's that kind of like worry that, I don't know, someone's going to think that you're not serious. Or
I know.
You can't be like ridiculous. And actually, just having a wee laugh. Yeah, it's not that big. No one cares.
Nobody cares.
No one cares.
I feel we've went really off piece, but the beginning question was supposed to be, but it's okay. It's fine. We'll go back. Was like, how did you get into what you're doing now? Like, what did you do to end up where you are doing what you're doing?
Oh goodness. So I started off as a yoga teacher because I had three really tiny children, and not an awful lot of kind of support, like practical support. I was really overwhelmed. I had chronic anxiety. I had a bit of health anxiety as well, and I think that kind of came part and parcel looking after three tiny people. And I really felt like I wasn't coping very well. And I think I kind of reached a crisis point where I was like, I need to get out of this house. I just need to get out for like just an hour. I went to a yoga class and I did that. And when I was in the middle of it, I had this moment where I was just like, oh my God, like I've not thought about anything. Just for a second, I was like, when has that happened? Because I had 3 under 5, so they were really wee. And then I started going all the time. And then everything kind of changed. Everything felt different because I just had a tiny bit of breathing space. That was it. And I've had other kind of periods in my life where, like, at one point I had a home visiting teacher that used to come to my house because one of my kids has got a disability. And she used to come and just chat to me. And I thought she was here for him, but she was here to support me. And she spoke to me for about an hour. And I swear to God, that woman she pretty much saved, like, my life. Do you know what I mean? She was so lovely, so understanding, so not judgmental. And see, having another adult to say how I was feeling was just transformative, made everything better. I felt like I could breathe, like someone had opened a window and I was like, oh, it's air. So then I had trained to become a yoga teacher. And as I was doing that, I kind of started with a really kind of strict yoga practice because it turns out I have a theme of anything I like doing, I'm going to do it to the point where I hate it.
Right, okay. Healthy.
And then COVID happened and we were all stuck in the house. And I thought, do you know, what am I doing this for? I don't even really like this anymore. So I changed it and I started focusing more on what it felt like in my body and kind of forgetting the kind of strict rules I'd been taught. And then I started doing that in my classes when we could return and people responded really well to it. And I was really like, this is for you. It's not for a class. It's not for a structure. This is your time. If you want to lie on the ground and do nothing, do that. And because that was kind of safer for people were experiencing more things and they would come up after class and be like, oh, I had this feeling and that was really good and and they would tell me loads of stuff. Because it unlocks something in your body because your body feels safe. And then that would happen more and more. And then a kind of option for a course came up which kind of aligned with what my values were, like not traditionally medicine. And I actually almost didn't do it because I thought, I was terrified actually. I was terrified of stepping into a wee bit. I think I was terrified of stepping into something that was just for me and not like for my family or for the good of everyone else. I was terrified of taking up space that was just mine. And I've got some really great pals. So when I voiced this to them, they're really understanding, but they actually kind of gave me a bit of a dunt. They were just like, so what, you're just going to not do this then? And I was like trying to defend it. And one of my friends said to me, I think you're in a story here. I think you're making up a story about what you need to be. And I was like, oh, I am.
What a way to put it.
I know. But
I've
that's
never
the
heard
thing.
that before, but that's true.
But we all have stories of meanings of things. And that story is normally created by a really valid reason of why you need to be a certain way. But then it kind of eats you alive and it stops you doing stuff. It stops you going out your comfort zone. It stops you following dreams because you're just like, the wee story that's kept you safe of, you can't really do that, so probably as well no trying. Like, what if you do that and you fail? What if you do that if everyone laughs at you? And this can be for anything. That's kept you safe for a long time until the point where you actually feel like, oh, I want to do it, now's the time. And that wee voice has so much power because they've been with you for so long saying, no, just stay where you are. And see, to have that named by my pal, she was just like, I think you're in a story. And I was like, it was one of those ones I was like, oh, she's right. Oh no, I need to do this course now. But I'm really grateful that she did. And another friend, she had given me a similar thing. She was just like, right, so you're just going to do this then. You're just going to be a yoga teacher forever. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. She's like, no, I know there's nothing wrong with that, but
you have more potential.
Don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And I know that. And I was like, right, okay. So, and I didn't know how I was going to do the course. I didn't really have the money. I didn't really have the time. But
you made it work.
I went, I'll just start this thing and I'll get to the first weekend and then I'll see and then I'll keep going. And here we are. So, a million hours later and essays and studies and books and
you've done it.
All that stuff. So,
and now you're online and in person in Kilmarnock.
Yeah. So, again, another kind of serendipity thing. A person I know put me in contact with two, I say lassies, they're women, who were opening a new medi-spa in Kilmarnock, which was kind of to bridge the gap of, like things that we can't really get anymore in the NHS, like, blood work, hormone health things, ear suctioning. They do aesthetics as well. They do like skin, like loads of kind of skin treatments and things as well from a kind of more medicalised model. But they wanted to kind of offer more things in one place that people could pay where they would to go there. Because as we know, and it's awful, it's a shame, but there's loads of things that people are really trying desperately to get. Like there's a person who's at the clinic who does holistics, but she's a specialist in like a fertility nurse. So it's combining the two and kind of straddling the science and holistic world. So when they got in contact, so another friend had said she should contact this person. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then she passed over my number because I wasn't very efficient. And then they explained what they were doing and I was like, God, this sounds great. So because I was a bit apprehensive, I'm like, how am I going to find a space and how am I going to find
where
somewhere?
Where do you begin? Yeah.
Where do I start? And then this kind of popped up. So I'm doing that in person there and I have some online clients that I've been kind of with for a couple of years and I kind of straddle between the clinic and at home in my wee cupboard, my wee study cupboard. Got all my books
your work
behind
from
me.
home life.
I know.
There's a wee quote that you put on your Instagram and I wanted to read it because I feel like you've touched on it sort of, but it's kind of prevalent. Where in life do you take a wee break? You put that on one of your posts the other day and I thought, that's so true. Like, when in life do we take a wee break? And like, we all should be doing that.
Even a tiny break. Yeah. My friend has a lovely break, which I actually used to have in my old house when I had a step. She sits in her back step, a cup of tea, and she looks up at the trees out her back door and listens to the birds. And she says it's like a mini holiday. And I've sat in her step and it really is.
Wow.
And she's just outside Stirling. But it's like finding that feeling of holiday time, when you just like put your bags down and go, this is nice. Do you know what I mean? Relax. Like getting a nice cup, setting things up. Yeah, everyday stuff, finding wee bits where you can go, oh, that's lovely. Isn't that nice? Like,
I know, actually thinking about it, for me, this is a bit weird, but see when my house is in pristine condition, my mind is chill. And I'm just like, and then I have my cup of tea on the couch and I'm like, See, it's a tip.
Mm-hmm.
No, not a vibe. Like, I feel that feeling. Like, I'm just like, oh, it feels great. Clean house, clean mind.
I know. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally feel the same. But having 3 kids.
You have 3 kids. Like, you don't have a clean house, clean mind. You have 3 children.
That's a trap. So a lot of the time I would spend my whole time, because there's traps everywhere. But a lot of the time I would spend like my whole day off, like just furiously cleaning. And I'd sit down and go, oh, this is lovely. And then one of my kids would come in and make a mess, and I'd be like, and then it would ruin my day. Yeah. So now I'm trying to kind of, almost like if I think of like my lens of focus being the whole house, I've tried to bring it in a bit so it's more manageable, so I can have that more. So like for me, it's like my desk in my wee office. Mm-hmm. I have all my pens sitting because I'm a bit of a closet stationery geek. Mm-hmm. Pens, everything's all ordered, know where everything is. And I'm like, this is nice. Ordered in here. This little, it's like 1.2 metres by 1 metre or something. Yeah. It's tiny. But I'm like, this is fine.
This is
I can
my
do this.
Zen sanctuary.
Yeah.
And then you open the door, you go,
oh, no. And then I come into the kitchen and someone's made eggs, left the pot. I'm like,
the life of 3 children.
I'm like, just going to catch that. 3 teenagers now as well.
3 teenagers.
All they do is eat. I'm like, it's fine. No, it's nice having a busy house. They are lovely.
No, I bet it is.
They're great.
So we're nearly at the end of the podcast. So at the end of the podcast, which even we're in now in season 3, that I keep saying, is still going to remain the same. So I'm going to ask you to hype up a small business, a charity, or something someone deserves a spotlight, and tell me why. And you can do multiple if you want.
Oh, right, okay. So I think I'll pick Clare Medispa because it is a new business. It's a new kind of venture. And I think it's really needed because because it bridges that gap between like going to your doctor and getting treatments and then seeking out different places to get things like, I don't know, your ears syringed or microsuctioned and you're scattered everywhere. It kind of houses lots of different people under one roof. And it is kind of more focusing on people feeling good about themselves and promoting that. And Ashley and Alana, the lassies that own and run it, I've found them they're really, really positive and enthusiastic and very, very hardworking, really, really realistic as well, and dead supportive because they didn't even know me. And I was just like, blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm passionate about. And they were just like, God, that's great. This is what we want. And they're really like supportive. And it's a new business. And they're very like, the sky's the limit. Just start with this thing and this will build. And you've got this. And I think sometimes when you start somewhere new, because being in person is relatively new for me, there was a bit of me that was like, oh, what if no one comes? That's the big fear of like
imposter syndrome for us.
Like they're going to find out that actually you're just not good at that, and that's not true. And I know that isn't true.
Yeah. It's that wee person.
But it's the wee person in my head that goes,
"Wee monkey getting you."
Are you sure? But so I've chatted to them about that, and they're just like, oh, don't be daft. Like, let's just do this. Let's do some team building stuff. They've got loads of great ideas. Because there's lots of kind of different like classes in and out and different people doing different things. So they've got some great ideas about like really building like a cohesive team and really thinking how do we go forward, supporting people's mental health, supporting people to feel good. Mm-hmm. And although things like, aesthetics for some people might be like, going and getting Botox or whatever, I think probably 10 years ago before I started aging, I would have been like that. Oh, I don't know about that. But for, if people have been through a hard time and they think, I just want something to make myself feel good.
Yeah.
I want to put a red lip on, or I don't know, take away a pure worry line that I've had because I've been really unwell. Like,
of course, you should get to do what you want.
Do whatever the hell makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And just go like that and what? Tell folk, don't tell folk, doesn't matter. It's just do whatever suits you. Whatever you can find that's specific to you that makes things a bit easier, do it. Because life's too short. Things are hard enough without trying to squeeze yourself into this tiny wee space of, I'm not going to be too vain and I'm not going to, that's what I think women especially do. That we take up this tiny wee space of, you know, I want to be a business, I want to have a business that's successful, but I don't want to talk on social media. And I cringe every time I go and I'm like,
You're right on it, by the way. You're having a great time over there.
oh, but I'm just like, do you know, I just need to do it. People
Yeah.
just need to know if they're talking
Yeah.
to me, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Something that's a wee bit awkward,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Amazing. Was it another one, or was it just Medispa?
No, I think that's probably
Awesome.
it. I have loads.
You've loads,
Well,
but
I've loads, but do you know,
that's our main one.
I know that's my
Here for
main
that.
one just now. That's the one that's definitely been. That's the thing I'm excited about right now because it's new and it's fresh and kind of world's your oyster stuff.
know.
So
That's
if anyone's in
exciting.
Kilmarnock or close to there, come and see us. Come see me.
Amazing.
I know.
So just to wrap up, if anybody's looking for any of Claire's talk to the camera. If anybody's looking for any of Claire's services, you can get her on Instagram. On your website.
I'm on Facebook. I have a website, clarefindlaytherapy.com. You can send me an email, which is
Yeah.
all on my website. So send a wee message.
And if you've got any questions, maybe they're not sure what they need, you
Yeah.
can reach out and just see
Yeah,
what the
definitely.
situation is.
Because and I think that's really hard as well. I don't think anyone really like gives folk props for that. Like even making the first contact and going, what did I say? Well, by the way, I feel awful or whatever. Like just chat.
Yeah,
'Cause
just say
there's no right way to say I'm having a bit of a hard time. Do you know what I mean, you can't really just say it. I've heard everything. It's fine. Honestly.
Thank you so much for
thank you
coming
so
on
much.
the podcast.
That was
It's
so
my
much
very
fun.
first one of 2025.
I know, I feel
Appreciate it.
privileged. You should. So do.
If we can all like and subscribe and follow and share the hype, let everybody know about Clare services, and please you can listen on Spotify and watch on YouTube, and share the hype, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, that was so much fun.
That was great.
That was awesome.